Here we are, folks. Probably, unfortunately, the last battle of the Ishiyama tournament as things are looking. Jaguars have been having fun. I am SJ Duelist flying solo today. You can also, I'll be sure to link the video. Unbroken and Marius are providing, I suppose, what you would call the official stream. I didn't want to hamper their awesome broadcasting style. So here I am. The Jaguars, put simply, are focused here. They want this one more than any of the other matches they played in. They're fired up, and let's see how much of a fight the 100% can bring because the Jaguars have been doing well in the tournament. 100% has some very skilled players on them, but can they counter the organization of Proxima and the eye of a jaguar, the heart of a jaguar? Folks, this isn't so much about capturing bases. This isn't so much about battles. This is coming together as a group and trying to see what greater things the collective can do over the accomplishments of an individual. Folks, those Jaguars are going to give it everything they have. I expect nothing less from 100% either. Both teams have proud warriors on there. Somewhere in there, I'm led to believe, is the outstanding Star Wraith. You see Django, Bowser, a great pilot in his own right. And, folks, that's a dangerous half a team right there as it is. And some of those other players, Glarg, seen in Chaos March, he knows what he's doing. CTFT knows what they're doing. So that team's solid. But so's the Jaguar team. Folks, this is going to try to be a neutral broadcast. I'm going to give you that. But you'll have to excuse me if I cheer a little bit louder when the blue team does a few things well. This is going to be a close fight. This is a tunnel, by the way. I'll tell you a story about this later involving a battle we had here. But anyway, folks, this is taking the place of Chaos March for today, so you won't be seeing any videos from this weekend except for the ones I've already put up from Friday. And the Jaguars traded very favorably, effectively won that battle, and are now pushing on. And I'm led to believe that despite the fact that there's only a 400-meter ceiling, that Grim Avenger is going to go VTOL, and this provides them escapability. He can capture bases very easily, and this thing can still do 200 kph plus. So this thing can run away effectively against anything except, say, a solitaire. And the advantage here that I think they'll have is that even though there's a 400-meter ceiling, it's 400 meters above anything that the geography blocks. So they can use this as an extreme long-range visual scout, effectively. Pop up, tell them where the enemy is, and go from there. Now, the ticket balance is not that far off. I think the teams are doing a good job. These capture zones are exactly that, zones. So say this entire area right here is all a cap zone, and the map itself, 4K by 4K, it's a recreation from Mechwarrior 4 Mercs, I believe, using obviously Living Legends terrain. Stay out of the green stuff. That's another feature. This is bubbly boily. Oh, I'm melting, I'm melting. Let's see how they're pulling together. This map is cold. I mean, it's like Living Legends in space. So you can definitely get away with energy weapons here. And not surprisingly, 100% is already starting to get some of their top pilots into heavier assets. Django in the... It's not the Ryokan Prime. EATM Ryokan, ATM Ryokan, somewhere in there. Effectively, this is going to be about capturing bases. Coming into the intro, I told you it's more than that. Well, it is. But each team is got skilled enough pilots that you're not going to be able to win it on kills alone. You have to capture bases. You see, this is not a gigantic map, but it is large. And these cap zones, I would say, are split into about a sixth of the map, except there are two bases that you should keep an eye out for in the corners. There are two Those two are repair zones, and there used to be a mech bay. I'm not sure if the mech bay is still there. Repair zone there, and I think this one in the corner might have a mech bay. Information is important in this game. That's the enemy base. So, all right, we'll get back to the base zones. Back to the combat. You're going to see a lot of long-range weaponry here in speed. Firing lines and focused fire. That said, the issue that you're going to be facing a bit today, with all due respect to the Jaguars, they are missing two of their top players from yesterday. Carbonell and Rook add a lot of extra veteran firepower here. Now, I'm not saying that the people we have in here are that much of a drop-off, because they're not. But that is something to keep in mind, that the Jaguar mono-y-mono one-on-one skill level is not as dominating as it might have been in this match with those two in here. Their replacements for the day, Grim Avenger is a just nasty air pilot. That player can go toe-to-toe with many of the great air pilots in this game. He's got a vicious kill streak on him, and when he's on, he can step it up with just about anyone in the game, on the ground or in the air. The other person that's getting in here, Spetnaz Bear, is one of our specialists in terms of he's a respectable air pilot, and he's getting to the point where he's getting to be able to do the same thing Grim does, and that is elevate the game in the air to take on top pilots. But Spets is no slouch in commanding and really any asset that you can stick Spets in. So these are our... Carbonell did make it. We just started a little bit earlier before he got here. Rook is not going to be able to make it today. We may have a second match, but I'm telling you that the personnel that the Jaguars are bringing is not necessarily lesser than what it was yesterday, just more so that they bring different skill sets. That Rook and Carbonell are right up there with Proxima as our best 1v1 pilots, that they can go up against any pilot in this game and have a fair chance of getting out of there. That they're up nearing the level of Proxima or Django or Star Wraith. And that we're going to lose a little bit of that today because Spets and Grim are still great pilots. But they're not quite up to that same elite skill level in 1v1 fights. And so, but what you're going to see, though, I think, is a bit more flexibility. Spetnaz can use any asset that you need him to, and Grim has the advantage in that neither Carbonell or Rook fly. And Proxima has to be on the ground really to command. He's the military leader of SJ, and as you can see, the tickets are starting to close up a bit. I think this will be a tight match until something breaks, and I don't know what's going to break. Somebody's going to take a wrong asset, cause a bunch of tickets. Somebody's going to grab a long tom and miss a shot and then lose tickets there, or they're gonna choose to repair at the wrong time, like the Jaguars made a few mistakes doing yesterday. If you watch the Inferno video, and I believe that it's going to be something like that, something that at the time doesn't seem like it's critical, but it'll add up and turn into something. Now you can see that they are backcapping now. They are splitting their forces out and avoiding the Jaguar death ball at center. The Jaguars are trying to counter that by having fast assets. That was their strategy, was my understanding going in, is that they're going to purposely stay in faster assets today. Yesterday, it was all about the beef. Getting into the nastiest, most dangerous firepower mechs and vehicles possible as quickly as possible. Because Inferno has that big center base to fight over. That's not the case today. It's spread. Everywhere you see is a cap zone. This entire map, with very few exceptions, is a cap zone for a base. And all of the bases, except for those two side bases that I showed you, have nothing in them. They're just barren territory that you're trying to get. Altogether, I can't show you, I wish I could show you the map, but I can't. Altogether, I believe that there are around 6 to 8 cap zones. The side bases, if I'm not mistaken, do not count towards the tickets. When you capture a base in this game mode, it gives you part of a total of your base. Base is held. And if it's greater than what the enemy has at the time, they start to bleed tickets, is what we call it. If you ever played Battlefield Conquest, this is a kind of a carbon copy game mode of that with some exceptions. So you've got a 45-minute timer. You have 500 total tickets. Now, when something dies, if a Daishi dies, the biggest mech in the game, arguably the most powerful, that's 17 tickets. But say Glarg dies, that's 1 ticket because that's a Hephaestus. That's a light hovercraft support vehicle. The objective is to make the enemy team have fewer tickets at end of time or to make the enemy team run out of tickets. Now, the Jaguars have had 2 matches in which they made the enemy team run out of tickets or got a lot of tickets to begin with. There was one match, though, the last one against the Vegan Rangers, and I'd like to thank all of our opponents. Hung Boys, the Vegan Rangers, and now, and 12 for playing us. This team is called 100% Lords. I think there might be a gorilla in there. I'll have to get back to you on that one. It's a team created specifically, I believe, for this tournament. And you can see those cruise missiles above. Those are cruise missiles. They're going to start using Aero 4 missiles. Those are called. So they are going to start trying to use some teamwork. They're going to use fast assets to capture bases and then try to stay near their line. But this could backfire because, one, they have the VTOL that they can bring in, and they can be aggressive with that VTOL. If the VTOL goes down, it's not many tickets. The second thing that they can do is if they want to, they can go get a Morgu with 2 lambs or something with lambs, period, and you can shoot down those missiles pretty quick. This is a good strategy, but this can backfire in a hurry, particularly if the enemy gets in the background quickly, or if they use something to counter it. And that's all this fight is going to be 2 smart teams countering each other. So they brought out missiles. Proxima's going to say, let's get some lambs, or let's go get some speed, and we can run into the backfield and shoot the cruise missile launcher. Or they're going to get Grim up in the air with something ridiculously long range like Light Gauss and stick a kilometer behind. Now, the Jaguars have been forced to retreat here, and the question is, where are the tickets going? If one team has an advantage on tickets, as I hold this up here, you'll see the numbers below the time drop. And at the moment, they're equal, which means that the teams have an equal number of bases. So until they work on sorry about that, folks, duty calls. Anyway, let's take a look. Ticket bleed, that's not a big enough lead. Jaguars need to get that up to 70, 60, 75 before they can start getting a bit comfortable. Now, the KongLords, and I apologize if that's not the name, I believe that's the name, are doing a good job here of managing base capture and finding a strategy that they can engage the Jaguars without having to have their entire force there. Excellent recovery, CTFT. And don't get the impression for a moment that the KongLords don't have some organization, because they have, again, the names, I'm not entirely sure, but Django has some experience of leadership, and as does, if Star Wraith is there, Star Wraith is a underappreciated drop commander in this game. Star Wraith has many skills, primarily known for flight, but I have been in many Chaos March battles, mekmaster.com for info about that event, in which Star has done admirably against anyone in this game in leading the team. So there's enough veteran players on the KongLords that even if they don't have somebody that's sitting there and just barking orders, telling everybody what to buy, where to go, and forming these grand ultimate strategies, well, there's enough veteran pilots that can step up or that know what they're doing to require very little instruction. Um, I'm trying to follow the best I can the KongLords. Um, let's just call them 100%. I'm trying to follow the 100% team because I think the main broadcast will probably most likely be covering the main battle, and the few Jaguars that are recording will obviously have some, and Django certainly will have recording up from this fight. So I'm going to try and follow areas that I don't think are going to be covered so that we can bring you the entire story. I'm glad to see Bowser. I've played with Bowser, I don't know, a year ago, year and a half back, quite a few times on some public games. Got to know the players' play style and measure of their skill, which is immense. But hadn't disappeared as far as I could tell. I'm not around everywhere in the games I used to be, but I'm glad to see Bowser back and playing or re- reappearing because Bowser is a player, a lot of fun to watch. Now, the thing with the Arrow 4s is you need ammunition. You need an APC nearby. You need to sneak one of those in, and I don't think they've done that at this stage. And I'm surprised the Jaguars haven't grabbed some lambs yet. Glarg is doing a nice job tagging. Looks easy, but trust me, it's anything but. You have to keep that on the target the entire time, or you have to know when to call in the missiles and then apply the tag laser afterwards. Personally, from personal experience, it is harder than it looks because that Owens cannot take much of a punishment. And here, we'll put it on the side and I'll bring it back in. This is a critical. 30 meters of damage and temporarily blinding light. Mech has a random chance of going explodey like that after it dies, and that's what happens. And if you're anywhere near it, you're gonna have a bad day. Now you can see the VTOL. They haven't taken much anti-air yet, which they don't necessarily need to because you can see that's about the height the VTOL can fly. Now, my connection here, I think I'm uploading some more videos on the channel. So that's me on my end. That's they shouldn't be seeing that amount of warping, hopefully. Now, where are we at? We've got a bit of a lead here. The Jaguars are solidly in the money bracket advantage. They have way more kills, and while this game is not all about kills and deaths, it helps because you get money anytime you cause damage. You get more money when something that you land even one bullet on, it dies. And of course, you get money for helping to cap bases. After a while, your total amount that you get when you respawn, you die, increases. Now, there's a limit to that to an extent. You can't all kick enough ass that you're all going to earn 400,000 every spawn. But you certainly get in a point where you can guarantee yourself to have a medium, to have a light, to have a heavy, and that's what you're going to need to do to as Proxima cancels the narc with the PPC, which is how you take out a narc. Django is trying to use a homing beacon for the missiles, for the big Arrow 4 launchers, and Cairo needs to be careful here. Django has just narked Cairo, and now those big, beautiful missiles, for some odd reason, aren't coming this way. I'm not sure the strategy that the 100% should use to defeat SJ here. I am wondering, though, if it would be smart of them to abandon this Arrow 4 strategy in place of using fast assets to continuously cap. Let's take a look at how many assets at the backfield. Okay, No Mercy is capping in a Shadowcat. That's pretty fast. Glarg, firing line. Bowser, firing line. 100% Dev, firing line. Ko, capping with a Chimera. That's decently fast. And of course, Django, when he respawns, will probably be in something fast. They need to constantly be capping bases. If I were them, I would purposely have two and maybe even 3 pilots in Black Lanterns or fast assets like that. And every time the Jaguars send something out like the VTOL to capture a base, I would head out and recapture it after they leave the area, and then try to have weaponry like ELRMs or LRMs to still contribute to the fight in center. You just fire your missiles off as you go. And I would even think about sending in 2 of the units together. We talked about Spets and I talked about this yesterday a bit, as did Viper and I in our broadcast. By the way, there's all the broadcasts from this weekend that I've covered, except for the battle that I was playing in, have 2-person coverage. Except this will be the only one that has 1-person coverage. I'm not a fan of 3-man broadcasting booths. It could be done, but in this particular case, I thought that 2 broadcasts. I think there's actually 3 broadcasts of this. 1 live stream that's hopefully delayed. Hopefully the live streams are delayed by 5 or 10 minutes. I learned a word yesterday. And by the way, a shout out to Shivaxi. Came by yesterday, little to no warning from one of his MWLL buddies, and came in and did a stream for this event. And it was a 4-hour stream. 2 hours, 2.5 hours of it was from the event, and he played with the team. And they played the Jaguars. I won't spoil how that went. And then they played the KongLords. And it was a very funny stream, very interesting things. Something happens in that stream. I'm not, you have to watch the whole thing to see it, but something happens in that stream that is truly epic. I am just glad that Shivaxi is okay. Uh, he's going to put up a video of it apparently, so be sure to check out his channel SHI VAXI, Shivaxi, on YouTube or Twitch, and I want to thank him for definitely providing some coverage professionally as best as the circumstances allowed him to be professionally live streaming this event yesterday. And special thanks to Unbroken, the organizer and runner of this event. Um, we've had fun. I can only speak on behalf of the Jaguars, but we have had a blast doing this event and look forward to your future and participating in your future endeavors. Also, a special thanks to my Jaguars for showing up. These hours are a bit hard on Sunday for some of the guys to come in, but they came in anyway. So special thanks to that. It's always great to see them all, and special thanks to my broadcasting partners, Spetnaz Bear, Vic Viper, and then to you, the audience, for watching. I'll try to link as many videos as I can because there's going to be a lot of videos coming out in the next few days from this event, both from me. Our matches from yesterday aren't quite up yet, so be sure to look for those. And then the game, mechlivinglegends.net. Check out how to play. Come say hi to us on our TeamSpeak, mwll.mekmaster.com. Come say hi on our site, home of everything that I run. So far, just the Chaos March, but soon to be some other things we've got upcoming. mekmaster.com. We have browser notifications. We have Discord sorta integrated. Every time I post something, it gets put on the Discord now. So we've got some awesome things going there, and we've got some things planned for you guys in the future. If you're watching this and you're one of my regular Chaos March players, I've got a few side events coming up, and I also have we got some pretty major updates coming from now until the end of the year, and a pretty good string of them that's really gonna transform that event into something hopefully that much better. And we're gonna do some experimenting. By the way, Chaos March players, I have been told you're watching this video before the 14th. Chaos March will be held 13th, 14th, and 15th, upcoming at our regular times. So Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So we'll be moving forward our channel. So Marius or WR and anybody from SJ, be sure we're ready to go with that breakthrough. I don't need pre-made lists, but wink wink, pre-made lists. I'll give you time to change them, but yeah. All right, anyway, back to the match. I just wanted to make sure I covered some of that stuff during some of our broadcasts. There's the repair bay. This is one of the bases on the side. Doesn't count for tickets, but it's nice being able to repair without having to go back to the main base. All right, let's. The Jaguars are pulling out all the stops. They have Mad Cats and Mad Cats and a few other things. So 100% does not really have the firepower now to directly take them on. And Cairo is staying in the Lantern to make sure that they can back cat bases. And I still think it's anybody's game. I know that looks bad, 140 tickets, but I have seen matches turned around before. It is important for 100%. It is 100% important. Ha, see what I did there? To make sure that they are consistently capturing bases that the Jaguars take, as I mentioned earlier. The other thing is this murder ball thing is not working well, and the Jaguars are not effectively fast at this point. Only the VTOL and the Black Lantern have no speed to keep up with anything. That 100% needs to either consider air power or artillery, but if they're going to do artillery, they need to mix it up a bit. The Aero 4 launcher is fine, but they need to have some Gauss, they need to have some ELRMs, some ATMs, some things to counter from long range. And aha, there is Star Wraith. Proof. So Star probably leading the forces, I'd imagine, along whoever the Dropcom is. I do apologize. I know all of those players except for Ko and 100% No Mercy. Who knows? Maybe it's Null. Yeah, my old mentor from my BKS days, back when I was in that guy's unit, in a Forever Legends thing. I'll tell you a story about that later. Okay, the tunnel, right? I'll tell you about the tunnel. Remember that tunnel that we flew through that you see right there? We had a Chaos March battle in which I won't identify the team. SJ decided to park inside of that base the entire 30 minutes. And I think it might have been Wolverine's Rebirth. I'm not positive, but the other team had to come in to that tunnel, and they weren't expecting the tunnel to be so thin, and they tried pincering. So they went one end of the tunnel with half their force, one end of the tunnel with the other half. But what ended up happening was it was like shooting sitting ducks because one, they flipped a Morrigu, a big heavy assault tank. There's some of that green gloop that you don't want to be inside of in that tunnel, and it flipped. And then that meant that the rest of the forces had to attack one by one, and SJ just sat there, alpha striking weapons, running through their coolant, and the bitching after that map, probably rightfully so, honestly, um, was some of the most intense stuff I've ever had to deal with as an event runner. I've been running events or helping to run events now for almost 4 years, and that one match sticks out in the top three. I don't want to talk about the other two in the top three tonight because the wounds never quite healed on the other two. But that match led that, and along with some tactics on Seaport, and all Shane led to the tunnel rule, where very often if there's a tunnel in a game, I reserve the right as the referee or the the leaders between the two teams can come to a consensus that the tunnel is only allowed to be walked through, and you can only sit there for so much time to prevent a strategy such as that. But often in these games, it depends on which end you're on. Frankly, did you get glorious victory or crushing defeat? And how quickly, if you were on the defeat end, do you get back to glorious victory? Um, okay, but anyway, we should get back to the match now. I'm feeling a little nostalgic and trying to add some banter into my one-man broadcast here. Oh, and as for broadcasting, yes, yes, yes. I used to, every video I did, as long as I wasn't playing in it, I would have commentary like this. I still want to do that, but I wear so many hats on event day that my voice just kind of tires out a bit, or I just need a breather in between all of the chaos. See what I did there? But let me know if you like these sports commentary kind of things, and if you like having the commentary over the entire video or just certain parts. And then the production value stuff. I've upped the video bit rate about as much as I can. I do not have the world's greatest internet connection. I'm working on that, hoping to upgrade it so we can start live streaming and getting videos up faster and doing all this neat stuff. Maybe by the end of the year. But production values, when I'm pushing out 20 videos a week, 25 videos a week sometimes, anything I put in, I'd have to script or have to learn how to do. And I mean, I have a video editing computer. I have some experience in the software. But let me know what you'd like to see a little bit more of. There are some limitations what I can do, but commentary, different video angles, sticking to one area at a time longer. More talking, less talking, some pre-game warm-ups showing you the lists that people use or etc. Let me know. I am looking into the possibility of trying to do the occasional highlight video because a lot of times these matches with Ishiyama, you can see the battle continuously ongoing. But other battles, Chaos March, some of the other stuff. There's a lot of the battle doesn't take a while. It's as much about finding the enemy and positioning as it is the battle of. And I'm thinking about trying to do every now and again, maybe once a month or once a week, try to do like an entire campaign, all 5 fights, 5 fights, together. So that's just the battles, editing, just the battles. Okay, anyway, part of the reason that I've been talking about other things and that is that this fight, I don't know. Without being able to see that, normally when you see people in the bases, if there are base structures, you can actually tell what they're trying to capture, where they're at. But in this particular case, you can't. It's just all a bunch of land, and there's been a bunch of that. And I've been trying to find interesting stratagems and interesting things, but I think the other video angles are going to cover things, and I just out of ideas because 100% has been doing things mostly correctly. They've been keeping up with the back caps. They've been picking long range assets the best that they can. They have put money into their highest skilled players to try and get them something to actually fight in, and they have been fighting, but it is still led to that. Now, we're going to have a VTOL battle on Lunacy. Now that is interesting. This entire battle has been interesting, but I just went off on a tangent. I just had all these different thoughts and had to pass it along to the world. But thus the 3-man and come on, it's 2017. The 3-person broadcast booth can actually be a good idea because my analysis of this particular match is just kind of going. At the end of the day, when you're in a match like this, it's probably very, very likely that the Jaguars are going to win. There's still things you can work on as a team. Now, after Ishiyama, who knows if the 100% KongLords are ever going to get back together and battle together in an organized setting. But there's still things you can work on or have fun. After a while, you can say, you know what, guys, let's do a fun strategy. Let's take down the try-hardness and let's do something. Or you can practice something for next time. But and even after a while, I don't say call it throwing in the towel, but after a while, you can just say we're not gonna make it. Forget about the bases. Let's all get together in one big group and see if we can get a few kills for Pride. This is a hard map to play. All of those capture zones are large and they're hard to hang on to because right now Ko could be in the same capture zone as the Jaguar ground forces are in. And there are 6 of them, I believe. No repair bays, no mech bays, and this is a
Hey, wake
pretty
up.
large map. Now, I've been at a loss, folks, watching this match. After a while, basically after the Arrow 4 strategy ended up not so much backfiring, but just was the last counter thing that they tried against the Jaguars that I noticed. I didn't, watching around, I didn't see much to comment on. What you saw before you was pretty straightforward, and I explained what 100% was trying to do. I explained what Jaguars were doing, and after a while, it just became a TSA game. Whoa! I think that was on purpose to try and save tickets, which at this stage might be a bit necessary. Either that or the out of bounds signal is not quick enough. Um, but the issue that you're seeing here is how to counter a unit that has been playing together in organized games and been playing together in public games almost on a daily basis for the better part of those 7 players there. Most of them have been playing together constantly, hanging out in TeamSpeak or Discord, organizing. Even when they're just out to have fun late at night, they've been working together and they've come together as a pretty good team. And it can be harder for a team like 100%, who I assume are a bunch of different players from different teams, different backgrounds that came together for this event to counter because, as I mentioned, I think things are pretty equal skill wise. I think things are pretty equal in terms of they have an air pilot. The other team has an air pilot, and they both have commanders. But I think at the end of the day, the element of teamwork and knowing how to complement the person next to you has been one of the reasons why the Jaguars have had a pretty successful tournament. They have faced quality opponents in every round. They have been countered, and they were very much on the edge of defeat in the
User joined your channel.
12th VR match. Definitely be sure to watch that. I'm not going to tell you who won. Definitely be sure to keep an eye on that. Now, at the end of the day,
Hello?
hi, Red. Welcome to
Ah,
the SJ recording.
can we talk in this channel?
As anything we talk about in this channel will end up on our YouTube video, but otherwise, yes.
Okay, so everything. What's happening now? Just a moment.
Jaguars are wrapping up most likely the last battle in the Ishiyama tournament and are comfortably ahead 300 to 170 tickets, having on TC Lunacy having utilized a strategy of long range fast assets and then holding a firing line at center to counter it. The enemy team tried to come together with Arrow 4 units and then use 2 players to back cap the bases. But ultimately, the Jaguars then just simply went back, grabbed a bunch of Mad Cats, and have been fighting lights and mediums the rest of the match, and their opponents have put up a good fight, but there are 6 different capture bases to worry about, and even though Django and some of the other players have been running around like mad trying to recapture bases, the Jaguars have just had too much money, too much tonnage, and have been using a VTOL throughout the game to capture bases at a faster pace that they can take, and so it's been a well-fought battle, but the Jaguars are definitely going to come home with a victory here.
Oh, good to know. Good to know.
Um,
So then, talk to you later then. I don't want to
uh,
interrupt the streaming.
cuatro minutos.
Okay then.
That was SJ Red
See you then.
checking in. Red is on the other side of the world from most of us, so we don't get a chance as often as we like
User
to hang
left your
out with
channel.
that awesome person. But there we go. That in a nutshell, that was a good opportunity to wrap up what I thought of this match. Look at the board. Okay, yes, kill ratios. Jaguars have got 2 players with nearly 20 kills, and there's only 7 players on the other team. But look at the scores. No Mercy, Django, Star Wraith, and Browser all have 300 points, and in a TC game of 45 minutes, that is more than respectable. The issue here that they dealt with is just the coordination among the Jaguars was that much better, and that was the difference in this game. Because that coordination led to a massive money advantage. And money creates problems. It doesn't solve problems, but it makes things a lot easier. I'm paraphrasing a quote, and at the end of the day, that's what happened in this match. That effectively, once the enemy team had a strategy that was working, those Aero 4s only required 4 of their pilots to engage. One person to tag, one person to defend the arrow launcher, and then one person to try to get in closer and utilize the second tag or narc. And that left them with 3 pilots that could go out and capture bases. And the Jaguars stuck to center. Outside of Cairo later in the match and the VTOL during the entire match, they stuck to center and held their ground. And the KongLords had the correct idea here: control the outside bases, and then fight outside of the range of the weapons of the Jaguars. But that strategy didn't work as well once the Jaguars went out. And remember, I said that they should get lambs. You'll see every time they fire missiles, there are a bunch of green lasers firing. There's like 4. That means that the Aero 4 launchers could not get in as well. So it's been an interesting tournament. I really, 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 really had hoped to see this thing go the full 12, 16 matches over the 2 weekends, but we've had circumstances with a few teams just not being able to make both days, or just not being able to bring enough players, period. And I think that as word gets out that this tournament was a lot of fun, despite being shorter than I'm sure anybody would have liked, especially the organizer. The battles have been interesting, outstanding. There's been minimal downtime in a lot of places, and I think that this is a very interesting idea that with some refinements will lead to just an excellent event that is even better than the great to excellent event that we've had here. So if you see Unbroken, be sure to let him know that this was a great tournament, a great idea, and that we look forward to in Smoke Jaguar and everywhere else stuff. Look for Unbroken's future events upcoming, I'm sure. Definitely look for mine upcoming as well, mekmaster.com. And we thank you for watching. On behalf of Clan Smoke Jaguar and the Ishiyama Black Mountain Tournament, we thank you for watching, and we will see you next time as the Jaguars wrap up an undefeated season and are probably going to be crowned the champions of